Good evening, good evening, good evening to all of those who decided to join the GIT Coach tonight. I'm Wanda Savage Moore. Good evening, and I'm the GIT Coach, and this is Smart Talk Tuesday. To those of you who have taken a look at some of my posts this evening, you already know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about the education situation. To those of you who are familiar with my book, you know that Principle 1 talks about educational stasis, and that's one of the reasons why tonight will be on education and the education situation. Here's some facts that I'm going to start with tonight. Millennials, which are a large part of my client base, are born between 1980 and 1996 about. They happen to be the most educated generation so far. 1 in 3 of you guys that are over 21 have a college degree, and that's a higher percentage than any other generation before you. And at the same time, while being the most educated generation ever, you're also what I think the folks at Gallup have termed the most underemployed generation of all. And what they mean when they say underemployed is that in their analysis and in their surveys, they mean that your generation has the highest percentage that are employed part-time but want to be full-time, or are not employed at all, or are employed in jobs that pay less than what you would or should be paid on average at the level of education that you have. And so they call that underemployed. And the third fact is that you are also the generation that's the most mired in student debt ever. So on average, they're saying that your generation has $25,000 to $30,000 of student debt per person that's completed the college degree. Hey, Chanel, good to have you, and others that are on the line or they're taking part and watching. Please feel free to comment. I'm really glad to have you watching today. But yes, those 3 facts make you a very unique generation. Most educated generation ever, underemployed, most underemployed, and at the same time, most in debt ever. So it's very easy to kind of make a conclusion from those 3 facts that maybe, as some of you have said, maybe education is a poor investment. And so what we've been seeing is that, some of the latecomers in your generation have been asking that question, and so are the Gen Zers. We get a lot of articles that we're looking at now that say, hey, why should we be pursuing MBAs and JDs and even 4-year degrees and PhDs and all this kind of stuff? Maybe we should, this gap year, or maybe what's wrong with a gap decade? Because, education is not really that important. Well, as the GIT Coach, I'm often asked that question: is the cost of education really worth it? And my answer to that is really yes, it is worth it. And so in the post that I did this afternoon in both my LinkedIn and on my Facebook, if you had a chance to look at it, you saw that I linked you to an article by the Motley Fool, which did a really good analysis of this. And it talked about the fact that, the real conclusion, I really think that you should take a minute to look at this article, because the bottom line was that if you use the average national salaries for people with college degrees and those that have high school degrees, for example, you'll see that over a 40-year career that you can earn, their analysis said you could earn as much as $1.7 million more with a bachelor's degree than you can with just a high school diploma. That's a lot of money. And it went into a lot more analysis there. It went into an analysis then further and talked about, well, what about debt? What about the debt that you have? If it looked at if you had like $70,000 worth of college debt that you had to pay off over your 10 years, and you were paying, say, $800 and something dollars a year in college debt, and so on and so forth. And of course, that would take away from the $1.7 million. And then it went on to do even more analysis to say, well, what if instead of paying the college debt, you looked at putting that money into that money that you're paying on college debt, you put it into some kind of an investment and let that investment grow over the life of, it did a whole lot of analysis. But in the bottom line is that as I have told a lot of my clients, having a college education is going to pay off. And a lot of my clients have contacted me because they have what I call an education situation. And that's the hashtag that I created, an education situation. And I tell my clients, go ahead, give me a call if you have a hashtag education situation. Go ahead, write to me. Tell me what your education situation is. I had a client in her late 20s. If you're not sure what an education situation is, this particular client in her late 20s, she had finished 2 years of college. She got going pretty well. Had a career. She was struggling with a number of health challenges and adulting and on, but she was able to do pretty well until she got to kind of a stalemate. After she took a job with the federal government, she got to a point where her career path had kind of stalled, and she was trying to look at, kind of what's next. And she got to the hashtag education situation, where we sat down and looked at everything, and she realized that she would always really be in a situation where she would always be competing with those folks that had a minimum of a college degree. And that was always going to be a hindrance for her. Hey, Wendy, good to see you. Hey, Michelle, good to see you as well. Lori, great to see you. Hope you guys are enjoying today. We were sitting discussing and trying to figure out what her situation was, and she came to the conclusion that she had a choice at this point what she was going to do, because no matter what career path she wanted to take from here on, she was always going to have the competition with those that had a 4-year degree. So that was something that we could work with or not work with. She also found herself in a position where she felt like she would be limited even with what career options she would have, because her experience would always be limited to the particular agency that she was with. And because she didn't have the education to back it up, her only qualification would be her experience. Her 4 or 5 years or so of experience there would have to be what she built the rest of her career on. And she said that she wanted more options for her future, and education was going to be the key to that. So what now? we began to work together and looked for options as to how she would move to the next step. And there were options for getting assistance to further her education. And we found a variety of other ways for her to move forward, to get uh, uh, additional career opportunities. But it did hinge on her getting additional education. My job as the GIT coach is really to help young adults to define their hashtag education situations, and ultimately to help them reach their goals, whatever those things are. The bottom line facts are that there are many reasons why millennials and younger adults are underemployed and mired in student debt. But to conclude that education is a poor investment will ultimately result in an education situation later in life that you probably don't want to be in. If you do decide that you are in a situation where you want to continue and you have, say, a 2-year degree and you want to continue with the educational situation that you're in, there are a number of great occupational opportunities that I have identified with clients where you can make a really great living with the right 2-year associate's degree. There are also things that you can do, ways, careers, opportunities that you can pursue without a college degree at all. But you just have to know what they are, and you have to know what your options are, and you have to pursue the right backgrounds and backdrops for them. A lot of times, with the right coaching and with the right direction, you can do a lot more than you think you can do. So my job as the GIT coach is to help the young adults who find themselves with a hashtag education situation to find their way out of this situation. That doesn't always include more education, but it does start with defining and understanding where you are, figuring out what you really want, figuring out what your strengths are, and developing a workable plan that is uniquely suited for you to get you to reach those goals. So I'll close today with a few tips. The first one is that your hashtag education situation will be unique to you. So it's important that whoever you're working with will sit down and take the time to understand your unique education situation and define it for you. Resolving that education situation will include ensuring that you pursue the right series of strategic investments that not only play to your talents and strengths, but that it will help you land a job or a career that'll allow you to really pursue your dreams and to live those things out. It may involve ensuring that you don't pay for your education yourself. There are a lot of ways to get a degree that will not require you to pay for it yourself. It may also include some of the things that I've helped my clients with is to get a side gig going. It may include looking at your talents and getting a side gig going on Fiverr or Thumbtack or Upwork or Angie's List or something, some way of repositioning your talents and redefining your skill sets so that you can make money one way while you're pursuing the dream that you have another way. Definitely, it's going to include anticipating the end game and positioning yourself for that end game before you even start. And that's what I'm going to help you do. So coaching itself is part of illuminating that path to success. And that's what I do for my clients. And that's what I will do with you. That's what I'll do with your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter. I will revive hope if they're in a hopeless situation. I will unleash innovation if they're at a point where they don't seem to know exactly what they do. I can ignite action and I can empower them to move the mountain that seems to be in their way right now. So once again, I want you to know that an education situation is not something that can't be addressed. It's not something that can't be resolved. It's something that I can work you through. Once again, I'm Wanda Savage Moore, the Get It Together Coach. I'm at www.thegitcoach.com. That's www.thegitcoach.com. It's been a good time. I've had a great time with you, and I hope you've enjoyed our talk this evening. Please look me up, give me a call. I look forward to talking with you. Have a great rest of your evening.